Welcome back to Guitar Intervals Unleashed, where today we're going to talk about major arpeggios. Alright, so we're going to be using our NANDI-Chorders again today. If you're not sure what this is, I'll throw a link up in the right-hand corner of your screen for that. We're going to be doing major arpeggios. Now, the intervals that are important for major arpeggios are 1, 3, and 5, which you see I've noted with those arrows on the right side of the number line here. So we're going to be using root C, which is already indicated as by the ones on our NANDI-Chorder. And we're going to start plotting. So we're going to go through the caged shapes. If you're not sure what that is, I'll throw a link to that up in the corner as well and also in the video description. We're going to start with the C shape and go from there. So starting on our right here, our 3rd fret A string, we're going to plot the series of fourths across and we'll go from there. So let's do that. All right, so we have our reference points here. Now, the one thing that you may know if you've seen some of our other videos is that just before 1 in the series of fourths is 5, which is really what we need. So just before both of the ones in our series here, both on the A string and the B string, we're going to put our 5th. So I'm going to plot that right now. All right, so that's like that. So remember, the 5 now is on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and now on the open G. Remember, you have to make that half-step adjustment between your G and your B string. That's why it's not exactly in line on the same fret as the root on the B string. Another thing is that this 5th that's on the low E, we can actually plot up on our high E because the E's mirror each other. And then we'll have our 1s and our 5ths, our root and our 5th for the C shape. And then we just have to plot the 3rd. So the first 3rd we're going to get is on our G string, a half step down from our 4th. And the other 3rd we're going to get is on our E string. We're going to walk down from this flat 6. What we could do, hold on, where am I? We're going to walk down from the flat 6 all the way back down to get to 3. Really what you could do is you could go plot a 4th up from the 1 that's on the B string and just go a half step down from there. So let's do all that. All right, so we've done that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all of the notes here that aren't 1, 3, or 5, just so this is a little easier to read. All right, so now it should look like this. We are missing 1/3 though on our low E, which I did not plot, but remember, anything that you plot on your high E, you can then plot back down on your low E. So there it is. So on the low E, we have 3 and 5. On the A string, we have 1. On the D string, we have 3. On the G string, we have 5. On the B string, we have 1. And then on the high E, we have 3 and 5. And that's a C major arpeggio in the C shape. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the A shape, which if you've seen our other videos, you know that starts actually in the exact same spot, but instead of going backwards towards the open strings, we go up the fretboard. So that's going to be these two roots here are involved in the A shape. So the first thing we're going to do is actually plot the 5th below them. Alright, so I've plotted the 5ths below our root, and then remember, anything you plot on the low E can be plotted on the high E, and that's what I've done here. And vice versa, anything on the high E can be plotted on the low E. They just mirror each other. So we've actually already plotted our roots and our 5ths for this chord. So now we just have to plot the 3rd. So what we're going to do is we're just going to plot the 4ths above our roots and then go a half step down to find our 3rds. And when you do that, it's going to look like this. So you have on your low E 5, on the A string 1. On your G string, you're going to have the 3rd and the 5th. On the G string, you have a root. On the B string, you have your 3rd, and on the E string, you have your 5th again. So it goes 5, 1, 3, 5 on the D, 1, 3, 5. A C major arpeggio in the A shape. You could even combine it with the previous shape and into that low E. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the G shape, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. So the G shape is going to involve these roots here on the E strings and this one back here. Remember, the cage shapes, they always connect. One root is always going to transfer into the next shape. So we're using these two roots and this one. So I'm going to plot our 5ths like we did before, just one string below the root. So there that is. You're going to have a 5 on the D string and a 5 on the B string. And then we're going to plot our 4th and then go a half step down to find our 3rds. All right, and that's going to look like this. So you're going to have, so on your low E, your root that was already plotted. Then on the A string, the third. On the D string, you're going to have your fifth. Then a 1 on the G. Major third on the B string and a fifth on the B string. And then a root. One thing I should mention for all of these shapes, you're going to have at least 2 of each interval in every shape. So every shape is going to have 2 roots, 2 thirds, and 2 fifths. Some of them might have 3, like in this instance, there is 3 roots because of the mirroring that happens on the E string. If there are 3, that's usually why it's happening, but you're going to have at least 2 in every shape. And if you have trouble finding one of the intervals, just remember if you found one of them, you can find the other one using the octave method from our octave video. So let's hear how this shape sounds. So this is the C major in the C major arpeggio in the G shape. There it is. All right, so now we're going to move on to the E shape, which is just those 2 roots on our E strings, and then this one here on the D string here. So we're going to plot our fifths below our root as we've been doing. All right, so when you do that, you should find a fifth on your A string and a fifth on your B string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plot our fourths and then to go a half step down to find our major third like we did for the other shapes. All right, so that's the shape right there. So it's going to be on the low E, you have a root. Then on the A, you have the third and the fifth. On the D, you have a root. On the G, you have a third. On the B, a fifth. And on the high E, a root. So this is a C major arpeggio in the E shape. All right, so now we're going to go on to the D shape, which is our final 2 roots here. We're going to plot the fifth just below them and start off like that. All right, so there that is. Remember to always make your half step adjustment between your B and your E strings. And now we're going to plot our fourth and go a half step down to our major third. All right, and there it is. So I plotted the major third that I got to on the high E string, and then I just mirrored it on the low E, and then you can see on the G string there is our other third. So on our low E is our third, on our A is our fifth, on our D is our root, on our G is our third and our fifth, on the B is a root, and on the high E is a major third. This is a C major arpeggio in the D shape. There it is. All right, and that's it. You just plotted C major arpeggio all over your fretboard. If you wanted to fill it in, this is what all the arpeggios would look like if you filled them all in. Just the arpeggios. So yeah, all right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to put links in the description for where you can pick up one of these and NANDI-Chorder. It's super helpful if you're following along with the NANDI method. Check out the NANDImethod.com and also make sure to pick up Guitar Intervals Unleashed on Amazon.